Welcome, everybody. Dr. Jason Dean, drjasondean.com, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. So I hope you all had a really good weekend. It is Monday, and getting more content back out last week was crazy, which is part of the talk today. Craziness in the world, craziness in America, in life. People's skin exploding, just all about craziness. And it's actually really interesting because I did a podcast last week with some friends of mine on their show. And I was speaking to them. We actually went over some of the basics again. Now, when you go online, when you go on the internet, when you go on social media, Facebook, wherever else, Instagram, those are the big ones. I'm sure you guys are in some groups and things like that, and people put parasite stuff all over the place, right? Now, the tricky rabbit hole that people fall down is they start looking at the really gory pictures, right? And trust me, I have lots and lots of gory pictures of parasites and poop and you name it, everything else that's sitting in the toilet, because some people like really get in there with their chopsticks or whatever instrument they're using, and they try. I have a lot of people who are like, I'm not looking, I'm not pulling it apart, I'm just going to believe that they're in there. I have other people who not only will go through it with chopsticks or what they're using, they will put it in jars, they will bring it in, it's across the board, right? But I was talking to my friends on this podcast, and I said, people go down these deep rabbit holes of, what they're finding in there, what does this parasite look like? They're taking pictures of stuff, etc. And I actually have an entire folder on my computer, in my cloud, of just parasite pictures and like successes of people getting stuff out. I have seen the craziest stuff come out of people. I have seen, there's a picture that pops up in my mind, right? And somebody reached into their toilet and they put what looks like 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, right? And they put it on the seats, right? The toilet seat after they went to the bathroom. And I think they washed them off. But it looked like garlic, little bulbs, right? Now, it's not garlic because garlic, first of all, not a lot of people eat full cloves, like whole cloves of garlic. Not everybody does that, right? But second of all, let's say you did eat actual cloves, like full cloves of garlic, like knocking them down, I think that's what they're called, they wouldn't get past your digestive system, right? Even if you had the worst digestion in the world, they wouldn't pass your stomach. Your stomach's acid, right? Even if you take Tums all day long, or you take a proton inhibitor, it doesn't really matter. The stomach has enough stomach acid. It's going to disintegrate a clove of garlic, right? Well, this came out in this picture like 4 or 5 they look like cloves of garlic. They would never look like that coming out the bowel. So, what is it? Well, we know that there can be encased, like a cyst of parasites. That can happen, right? Like literally parasites will encase themselves in a cyst of like calcium or other materials, biofilms. We know that tumors, like if you go to an oncologist or you go to the doctor, they do a biopsy. They're going to put a hole, not a good thing. They're going to put a puncture into a cyst or a tumor and pull it out to find out what it is. It could be those. It could be bile stones. It could be a lot of different things. I mean, they don't tell us what they are. I just saw the picture of these things sitting there. The point is, people go down these deep rabbit holes. Like I guarantee you right now, all of you who are watching this live stream, there's probably at least a couple of you in there who go into these parasite groups. They go into these websites, sometimes forums, etc. Back in the day, they had forums. And you're finding these crazy pictures of crazy things that are coming out of people. So when I went on this podcast, I go, hey, like a lot of people have shown me some crazy stuff. I see the crazy stuff online as well. But however, here's something important. Let's go back to the basics. And I actually had to go back to the basics on this podcast. And the reason I had to go back to the basics is I have so many people, and this is why it's so important. So if you go on the site right now, we have 2 cleanses. And I'm going to be very, very detailed on this. I have 2 right now cleanses. There's a 3rd coming, so be ready. See, it's got a few months left. There is the all liquid full moon parasite cleanse, which you'll see right on the front page. Core Artemisia blend, Core Para V blend, and drainage tone. That's one of the basics. We also have, right, Para Dysbiozyme. That is also on the site. That is a capsule, right? We also have Biofilm Detox. I recommend you guys starting with those. Now, here's the kicker. Now you can do those as deep cleanses, but I have other cleanse stuff behind the scenes. So if you're a person that has worked with me, and many of you out there have worked directly with me, like I actually take care of people globally. I take care of people every single week when I go into practice. I take care of people locally here in Central Florida. I also take care of people in the UK, Australia. I have clients, patients across the globe, all right? And it's always back to the basics. The majority of people are not pulling the most crazy things out of their body. They're just pulling parasites out. So in this podcast, I was talking about some of the basics that we see. And what are the basics? Why does a person feel terrible around a full moon? Why does a person potentially feel terrible around a new moon? I told you a couple weeks ago when the full moon hit, which was the 1st, right? I think we're on the 1st of each month right now for a little while. That week, we had multiple people come in. I actually saw one woman. I walked into the office. She had red rash up and down her arms, exploded. Now, she was also eating some sugar. She admitted that, which whatever, it happens. People fall off, they get back on the horse. But during the full moon, she went to the carbs. What are the carbs? Sugar, processed sugar, cakes, cookies, candies. But the other carbs, breads, pastas, rices. And I know you love those out there. Scott says, if those parasites are in the lungs, they call them Baker cysts, and the lung nodules in the hands, ganglion cysts. Yeah. So it's actually funny. I actually had a ganglion cyst. So I love the game of golf, right? My two favorite sports are baseball and golf. I played golf in high school, and then I played golf in college. And there were, I think, 3 different occasions when I was playing golf that I remember one being in college. I had a ganglion cyst in both wrists, and it was only when I played golf, and there were several tournaments that I was supposed to play in, and I was getting really worried because when the ganglion cyst inflamed, I couldn't move my wrist. Like I would take the golf club, I would just be like practicing at the house, and I couldn't even take it back. Because just a slight breaking of the wrist, when you're in golf, the wrist breaks. Not literally breaks, like it's a hinge, it breaks. I couldn't even break the wrist on the way back. I couldn't even make contact coming through. The contact alone, like I would just drop the club because it was so much pain. And I had ganglion cysts in both times. And they only popped up. Now, looking back in hindsight, it may have been more that I was a sugar junkie then. So I don't know if that would occur today, but it hurt the most when I was playing a lot, right? And so I will tell you this for anybody out there, and it's interesting you bring up the cyst because mine was a ganglion cyst, both wrists. They have gone away. Now, I don't play golf all the time, so if I got really, really back into it and I was swinging a lot, I don't know if it would come back. Again, I don't do sugar like I used to, so it's not the same. The Bible thing doesn't work. So on cysts, especially, they used to say the old wives' tale was a ganglion cyst, you hit it with a book, with a coin on it. So I remember sitting in my college apartment, supposed to be going golf, and I couldn't play because it was just hurt. And I remember going, okay, let me try it. And I would get I would get tentative or hesitant on it. And I would just like tap it. I'm like, oh, that hurt. But I wouldn't hit it hard. So there was one time I was like, okay. Now I didn't get a Bible. I got a big textbook. Textbooks are far bigger and heavier than a Bible. So I had a big textbook out. I'm like, I'm going to take one shot at this. Like one hard shot. So I put like a dime or something on the cyst, and then I took the textbook, and I had to mentally prepare myself because I was not looking for, I knew it was going to hurt, right? And just the little ones hurt a lot. So I'm like, okay, I am going to take a swing at this one time, like a swing. And so, and I set it up, I let it it was sticking, and I took the book, and I probably unconsciously held back just a little bit, like on the swing. Like I probably didn't go full bore, but I went pretty hard, came down on it. It's funny you bring that up. I still remember that to this day. I dropped on the floor like a sack of potatoes. It hurt so much. And by the way, the reason I'm even telling you this story, it didn't burst the cyst. So, it was all for naught. And it hurt. You have no idea how much it hurt. It recovered, obviously, finally. And, but it's a good point on cysts, because the ganglion cysts, I haven't had them in forever. My wrists are fine. I don't eat sugar like I used to, clearly. And, I don't swing a golf club as much as I used to, right? So, interesting. But going back to those basics, I was asked, why does it come up during the full moon? And a lot of people out there, especially in the spiritual religious realm, want to be like, well, that's all that crazy, astrology. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with astrology. And it doesn't matter what the moon is. I have my own opinions on that. Many of you who probably watch this channel for many, many years, I have my opinions on the moon, which I'm not going to go into right now. And it doesn't matter what it is. The moon, the planets, whatever they are. The rotation of whatever this rock is that we live on, it affects the tides. And people can say all day long, well, no, that doesn't really work. Well, then go to the ocean, right? Go to the ocean. If people are like, oh, I don't believe in all that stuff, it's all a conspiracy, go to the ocean. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. So you can say it's a conspiracy all day long, the tide still comes in, the tide still goes out, and the only understanding we have right now is that it causes the moon and the rotation is what causes that, as we understand, right? So when that occurs during a full moon, the energy, the magnetism, right? The magnetism of that pulls and changes the fluid, liquid, water makeup and balance of the human body. I don't remember what the number is, but I think we're 70 or 80% water, right? Now, it's weird looking at a human body, or you look at a plant, or like a watermelon, for example. Watermelon's a good example, right? I don't know what the percentage is, but a watermelon is mostly water. And you're like, but wait a second. It's a watermelon, or it's a human body. I mean, how can it be water? We see skin, we see yeah. But you have to remember, there's water in between the cells. There's water in all the cells. We're made up of cells. The watermelon itself it's mostly all water. And yes, there's obviously some fiber and everything else that makes the color and everything. But ultimately, we are water. We are physiological, biological fluids. So a couple weeks ago, when the moon came around and everyone felt terrible, and a couple women that came in the office, there was many more, but I saw a couple that had rashes all over their body. What happened is those parasites and those bacteria, I don't want to leave out bacteria because I know we obviously talk a lot about parasites, but they essentially activate and it causes chaos. But then when it activates, Many of you have parasites in your gut. They love the gut. I was just talking to somebody, was it yesterday? And they're telling me about someone having a problem in their gut area. And I said, and as they were telling me, I'm like, there's a tapeworm or something in there. So a lot of people have tapeworms in their intestines. So when that happens, until you get rid of that tapeworm, you're gonna have potential trouble and problems, right? But it also changes your gut bacteria, it changes the other parasites, and it also changes the neurotransmitters. Things like dopamine, serotonin, GABA, and many, many more, right? So a lot of people are hooked or prescribed on what are called SSRIs, okay? Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, off the top of my head. It's a serotonin problem, right? So this is why when someone takes a psych drug or an SSRI, they legitimately start feeling better, right? I'm not going to say that they don't. Most people initially feel better because of that serotonin problem. But the psych drug ultimately will make you feel terrible. You'll become, it's a drug, so you can't come off of it. And it really, really messes people up, okay? What's really happening and how to get around the whole psych drug, and I know you don't feel good, right? Like we've all been there. We've all had our really bad days, some worse than others. Folks, when I was on sugar, I mean, I'm not going to go into all this today, but when I was in my mid-20s, it was rough. Like I thought I was having a heart attack in my mid-20s. Anne says the new moon is coming on 4/17. She reacts more to that. I react more to the new moon as well. Not as much anymore, but I'm more of a new moon person than a full moon. When I was in my 20s, I thought I was having a heart attack. Well, not one. I thought I was having heart attacks all the time. I would get anxiety like you wouldn't believe. I would have panic attacks every month to 2 months. They wanted me on Zoloft and Adderall. They prescribed me Zoloft and Adderall. I took one pill of each, and thank God. So I've never done a drug in my life. I'm one of those weird ones, right? I didn't drink very much because I don't really like it. I never did any drugs. So to this day, I've never taken a drug. I think the worst I've ever taken is I took one Zoloft, one Adderall. I quit it on my own. And I think I took a dropper of CBD oil and I didn't like it. So I'm like essentially totally drug-free. Not even a lot of medications in my life, honestly. So I don't have a lot of drugs ever in me. But the reason why that you're having a serotonin problem, the reason why you can't bring your mood up, and trust me, I've worked on this a lot because I had the problem, right? So I experiment with supplements and nutrients. Ask my wife, she's on the feed, right? We probably have a bill that comes in every month for the amount of supplements that we buy and that I practice with or play with, so does she. That's unbelievable because I'm always going, okay, how do we fine tune? How do we tweak things? How do we make somebody better? How do we really target that specific thing? We can do it well now, but can we even do it better? So the serotonin, right? These are all neurotransmitters that are made in our gut. You can go look this up. The majority of neurotransmitters are made in our gut. If you have a leaky gut, glyphosate, plastics, microplastics, heavy metals, mercury toxicity, lead, barium, cadmium, aluminum, whatever it is, if you have a leaky gut, you have parasites and you have bacteria that is causing your gut to be a problem. The liver is having struggles as well. It's a whole other thing. What parasites and bacteria do in your gut is they actually stop you from, one, making neurotransmitters effectively, but on top of that, when your gut does make the neurotransmitter, the parasites steal it. So those neurotransmitters that are supposed to make your brain work, they're built in the gut. They're supposed to be sent to the brain via the nervous system to make your brain work, right? Your brain's not working, so you think you need a psych drug or you think you need something to make you feel better. It's not that at all. Your gut is not making the serotonin, the dopamine, the GABA, and others. There's a whole laundry list. Maybe I'll do a whole laundry list one day of the neurotransmitters. If you don't have serotonin, you're going to feel like garbage. If you don't have dopamine, you're not going to feel good. It's also a reward neurotransmitter, right? So people out there who have that reward system broken, your gut's not making dopamine. GABA, if you don't feel like cheerful and happy, motivated, you don't, that's why, like, so even these supplements out there, I know people go to GABA, I know they go to dopamine, I know they go to supplements to try to make themselves feel better, like L-theanine's another one, I'm playing with that right now. It's not that the supplement's bad, but you're missing the root cause of it. The root cause of it is your gut's not making it, and it's or if it is making it, the parasites and the bacteria are stopping it from going through your nervous system to your brain. Your brain has no fuel, no resources to work from. So you can psych drug all day long, you can supplement all day long. I'm not saying to do that, I'm just being sarcastic. You're not going to fix it until you fix the gut. Kind of like the GLP-1 thing. Everyone's going, oh, GLP-1, GLP-1. Where is GLP-1 made? GLP-1 is made in your gut mucosal lining. So, those people out there right now, pharma who's selling the hell out of GLP-1s, and people out there who are doing GLP-1s, it's not the GLP-1. Fix your gut, and then you'll make GLP-1. You're overweight because you're stuck on food because the parasites and bacteria are recycling themselves. Your brain craves the garbage foods, the sugar, etc. So when you're 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, etc., right? My cravings today at 9, 10 o'clock at night are totally different than they even were a year ago. Right? And I went through a couple of years where they were like intense, right? Today, they're not. And here's a recommendation, right? And we'll do more on this week. Make sure you have snacks in the house. Now, I know you're going to say, but Dr. Dean, you said not to snack. I don't want you snacking all the time, right? But if you are battling this problem, right, which we've all been there, if you're battling this problem where you get those cravings, don't set yourself up for failure. And the reason what failure is when you don't have anything in the house, and then you like go to the local fast food place and you pick up a flurry or whatever they call them, or you pick up like you go to the grocery store real fast or the gas station, you pick up like candy bars and everything else. You fail that way because there's nothing in the house. So you're either ordering something from Uber that's terrible, or you're ordering, you're going out real quick, making a stop, whatever. So what we do in the house is, if we ever have that, we typically will have like I think the Boulder brand now does like tallow chips, right? Like potato chips. So like my daughter's a fan of the cheddar, but it's made in tallow. There's like 3 ingredients. It's like potatoes, tallow or olive oil, salt, and maybe like cheese or something like that. The other one is just sea salt, like 3 ingredients. Like now, you can have those. Another one we do is our family's a big fan of chocolate, so we'll do dark chocolate. I try to do 70% or more dark with stevia sweetened, right? So even if you like pound through a candy bar, right, which I have done on many occasions, right? So I actually counted this because my wife's like, "Did you just eat a whole bar?" I'm like, "Yes, I did." But if I look on the back, the whole bar is only 36 grams of carbs, right? I tell people to stay under 50 on a daily basis or even under 75. Now, if I eat protein in the morning, which I don't even eat a lot in the morning, but I'll do protein in the morning, I'll do protein and maybe a vegetable at lunch, and then I do protein at night, I try to stay away from carbs on the plate. Even if I do a full stevia dark chocolate bar, I'm up to maybe 36 grams of carbs per the day. You're going to do far better there than you are if you don't do that, right? My wife says, I have to open up. When doing a parasite cleanse, the detox channels have to stay open, meaning having daily bowel movements. If this is not occurring, your practitioner can find out why. That is 100% true. you've got to be going to the bathroom. You have to be binding if necessary. You have to be detoxifying. You have to be draining out of the body. If you're killing something off, like a parasite or bacteria, or removing toxic metals or chemicals or plastics, you're going to have to drain them out, okay? Which leads me to my conclusion here. Definitely go get the Parasite Cleanse. That's going to really help you a lot over on drjasondean.com. Go right to the store or go to shop. You'll find it. And then we're doing what's called an MVX test, Metabolic Vulnerability Index test. They're very popular in our office. We do hundreds and hundreds of them. And you can go to drjasondean.com/MVX. M as in Mary, V as in Victor, X as in xylophone, okay? MVX is what it is, drjasondean.com/MVX. You can grab one of those because that actually gives me information on what's your mortality index. That's a little scary for some people, but at least it lets me know, like, hey, how are you doing overall? It gives me inflammation markers. It gives me infection markers. What are infections? Parasites, bacteria, fungus, candida, etc. It gives me toxicity markers. It also reads your cardiovascular system for me overall. And I get malnutrition numbers, meaning are you absorbing the nutrition in general at all? It also reads liver numbers. I'm not even talking about liver today. We just talked about gut, right? If 90+% of the, I mean, you guys would be shocked at the blood tests that I see on a weekly basis. And I see some people who are like 10 years old. I have some kids who do their blood work, and it's a mess. I just dealt with a whole bunch of reports this week on blood tests, on the MVX tests, and well over half of them were a mess. And their regular blood work was okay, but the MVX shows me far, far deeper. Poly, anytime you buy in a different country, and yes, Canada is a different country, I do not have control over your customs. So yes, it will take longer. And that's not, everything gets shipped same day now, or by the next day if you order late afternoon. It's all drop shipped directly to you. So if you're waiting for it and you're out of the country, that is customs. There's only so much I can do. So go to drjasondean.com is the main website. You can go to shop. If you want the MVX test, you can actually find it at the top of drjasondean.com, or you can go to drjasondean.com/MVX. We do them routinely. If you start with one, we will get them done every 2 to 3 months typically, sometimes faster, because it is a test that we want your numbers to be coming down on. We want them lower so that we know you are healing, okay? We'll make sure you get another one, Ann. Ann is great. Ann has literally changed her entire life, not only on the Parasite Cleanse, but working with us directly at the office. So look for your email, everybody, today and this week. I will make sure you guys get MVX emails. If you're not on the email list, I'm going to actually have to put together an email list page for Facebook, because right now I think you only get one. I'll make sure that goes up. So guys, look for Facebook to have posts. I do thread posts a lot of time. What I mean by thread posts is there's a post in the letters in the color, and then below you'll see the top 1 through 3 or 1 through 6 or whatever. And in those thread posts, typically there's a 1 or 2 links that you can either get something or you can log in and put your name on the list so you get the emails. If you're on the emails, you'll see things like deals for supplements. You'll see challenges that we might do. Also, you'll see MVX specials. So make sure you get hooked up on that, okay? Everybody, I want you to have a great Monday. It's a challenge out there. It's always a challenge out there. Lots of craziness going on. Lots of energetic shifts out there. Those also affect us. You will handle that far better when you have less parasites in you, less bacteria in you, when your gut and liver are cleaner and better. But until then, keep working on it. Love, serve, help the best you possibly can. I'm Dr. Jason Dean. Have a great rest of your Monday, everybody. Take care of yourselves and be well. Bye-bye for now.